There. 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 Everybody else, please. There. 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 There.
Schools and the community of Barnegat, I'd like to thank the American Legion Color Guard, the ROTC Color Guard, the Barnegat Police Department Color Guard in opening our ceremony this evening. At this time, I'd like to welcome first responders Bill Cox, Officer Steve Tater, and Acting Captain Gerard Lynch of the Bloomfield Fire Department with students from the Collins, Donahue, Dunphy, Horbelt, and Brackman schools. Please stand and remain standing for the flag salute, which will also be followed by a moment of silence. Gentlemen and students, if you could come forward, please.
Just follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask everyone for a moment of silence, which will be followed by taps performed by Brian Thielen. In addition, first responders Charles Giles and Frank Gambino will place a wreath at the base of our 9/11 monument in memory of all who perished 10 years ago on September 11th, 2001. And now, a moment of silence. To represent the Barnegat Township Board of Education in our school district, I'd like to present Mrs. Lisa Becker, Board President, who will make some opening remarks.
Good evening. It's a privilege to welcome you to this dedication and the formal opening of Barnegat's 9/11 Memorial. We share in reflecting upon the events on and since the morning of September 11, 2001. Resolved, united, and with solemn reverence, we look upon this hauntingly beautiful memorial. Though this beam from the North Tower no longer graces New York City, it once again towers above a skyline in a new home here atop the highest point in Ocean County. This is a testament to history, which rises in both memoriam and guardianship, casting a watchful shadow where our children the future of America, come to learn and play. It stands here a solemn soldier, reminding us of the sacrifices of so many and echoing the story of another day which will live in infamy. We mourn the losses of nearly 3,000 victims, civilians, responders, and military, who were lost on that day on 4 planes at the World Trade Center in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon. We honor the brave who rushed to help, and while sadly 60 NYPD and Port Authority officers, along with the New York Fire Department 343, gave their lives in the line of duty, our duty as Americans is never forget to honor them, for in less than a 2-hour window of time, those patriots on Flight 93 and our brave responders in New York City saved 20,000 Americans, if not more. We so often forget that the rest of the world watched America yet again becoming etched into the pages of history, a historic event that will be passed on from generation to generation, taught in classrooms around the globe and here in Barnegat. It is that world view I'd like to share the following excerpts about September 11th through the eyes of a Romanian newspaper editor who published his Ode to America on September 24th, 2001. His comments were, "Why are Americans so united? They don't resemble one another even if you paint them. They speak all languages of the world and form an astonishing mixture of civilizations. Some are nearly extinct and others, in any other situation, are incompatible with one another. And in matters of religious belief, not even God can count how many there are. Still, this American tragedy turned 300 million people into one hand upon one heart. Nobody rushed to accuse or run. The Americans turned around to volunteer, give blood, and give one another a helping hand. And after the first few moments of panic, they raised a flag on the smoking ruins and started singing God Bless America." He closed with comments that the American solidarity of spirit turned them into a choir. But actually, a choir is not the word. What you could hear was the heavy artillery of the American soul. And so on behalf of the Memorial Committee and the Board of Education, I hope you will visit this site often to help teach the youth of our community about the pride of our generation, the men and women who we call our responders, and to ensure that we never forget when the unspoken call went out on the morning of September 11th, 2001, the world watched as Americans rose to the ideal and asked not what their country could do for them, but what they could do for their countrymen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Becker. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mayor Jeff Melchiondo for some remarks.
Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today for this yet another historic day in Barnegat. First, let me thank the Barnegat Township Board of Education for hosting today's event and for their continuing support of keeping the memory of September 11, 2001 alive. Today is, again, another day to remember the events of now 10 years ago at the World Trade Center in New York City, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and the fields of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where thousands of innocent Americans were murdered at the hands of evil terrorists on that tragic day. Today's ceremony, commemorating the receipt of a simple piece of steel, means so much to all of us here today and throughout America. This innate object represents all that was lost and all that lies ahead. I urge all of you here today to reach out and touch this piece of steel and envision the horror attached to it, but at the same time, envision the future of the United States and our people. Just as in Pearl Harbor, the only other attack on our native soil, we will survive, we will prevail, and we will never, ever forget. The thoughts and prayers of the Township Committee and all of the Barnegat residents go out to all of us, all of those directly affected by the events of September 11th, 2001, and all of our first responders, volunteers, and all Americans as well. God bless you all, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to welcome to the podium Assemblywoman Diane Gove and Assemblyman Rumpf.
Thank you very much. Good evening. And it is truly a beautiful evening tonight. I want to thank the Barnegat Board of Education for hosting this event and everyone who is here. Today, Barnegat High School remembers and honors those who lost their lives in the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. This beautiful and meaningful memorial not only honors and memorializes those thousands of people who lost their lives so tragically, but it also honors those first responders and average citizens who committed courageous and selfless acts of heroism to safeguard the lives of many, many other people, not having regard for their own life. The students, the faculty, administration of Barnegat High School, as well as the entire Barnegat Township community, are so fortunate to have this memorial, a memorial of the 21st century. Why is it important? We saw on that fateful day those terrorists, individuals who committed suicide, do whatever they have to, give up their life to harm the United States of America. They were hoping to defeat and crumble the United States. But that did not happen. We saw citizens of the United States come together, become stronger, take care of one another. We saw the strength of patriotism and resolve. So therefore, this memorial not only honors that historic day, but it also shows that no one or anything can destroy the United States as our democratic principles will prevail. And as a former history teacher, I have to say this. It is fitting on this day, before the anniversary, the 224th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution, that Barnegat dedicates this memorial. So therefore, when you look at this memorial, this flag, also remember those lives lost, those heroes who saved lives, but we also have to look at those now who are protecting our democracy, who are fighting for the principles of the Constitution. Those currently around the world, not just in the Middle East, but they are around the world, those currently servicemen and women, and also those veterans. They also need to be honored. And I want to thank you all for coming here tonight. And as the mayor said, God bless America. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks to the efforts of community leaders like those involved in this 9/11 memorial at Barnegat High School, pieces of the World Trade Center can now be found in all 50 states and 7 foreign countries, displayed with the dignity and the respect that they deserve. For the people of the Port Authority, the mission to bring these pieces of history to communities across the globe is sacred. The Port Authority built the World Trade Center. It was their home. And among the nearly 3,000 men and women who didn't get to go home that September day 10 years ago were 84 of the Port Authority employees, including 37 Port Authority police officers. With the creation of a memorial using a piece of World Trade Center steel, the people of our community will now have an opportunity to see, touch, and feel the impact of what happened that day, and for that, we should all be grateful. As we remember the past, we are also rebuilding for the future. I am here this evening with Assemblywoman Gove to present a flag which was flown over the World Trade Center site, where currently over 3,500 men and women are working around the clock on that rebuilding effort. And so, in memory of all those who perished on that fateful day, I would request that the Barnegat Township Board of Education please accept this flag as a measure of our nation's resolve to remember the past and to rebuild for the future. Thank you and God bless you.
And accepting on behalf of the Board of Education this evening was Dr. Joe Saxton, the Barnegat High School principal. Thank you so much for your words, Assemblyman Rumpf and Assemblywoman Gove. The tolling of the bell has long been utilized as a symbol for firefighters. It signals the beginning of a tour of duty, the beginning of a duty shift, the indication that assistance at a fire is needed, and the end of a shift. For those who gave their lives, the tolling of the bell also symbolizes the dedication and commitment which these brave men and women are to be remembered. This evening, we are very grateful that Bell Engine 108, the bell we have this evening is from Bell Engine 108, which was destroyed on September 11th, 2001, 10 years ago. And this evening we are asking the ringing of the bell be performed by Mike Moore, our Barnegat Fire Chief, and Don Ravelis of the New York City Police Department. Thank you. For our closing remarks, I'd like to welcome former NFL and XFL player Keith Elias.
Good evening, and as we close with two of the most wonderful words in the English dictionary, thank you. Thank you for those who gave their life on that day many, many years ago, for those who give it all every single day, for those who gave it all in Iraq and Afghanistan. We again say thank you. There's no doubt that on that fateful day, over 10 years ago now, that America entered the furnace of affliction. But the thing about a furnace is that precious metals are not destroyed in the furnace. They are merely revealed. And when America entered that furnace, what was revealed was a deep character and an undaunted courage. And I want to close with the story of one fireman who represented them all in his dignity and courage. And after the plane slammed into the World Trade Center, of course, they evacuated or attempted to evacuate the area. And this fireman had a choice. His choice was to run, like everyone else, away from the danger, or with that courage, run toward it. And his story is a story of true manhood, and teaches us that it is not our talents, our gifts, and our abilities that make us men or heroes, but it is how we use those talents, gifts, and abilities. And true heroes always use everything that God has given us to help and serve others. And on that day, he made a choice, and he went into that building, even though that building was on fire and was coming down around him at any moment. And what happened was that he saved somebody's life. And he pulled the woman out of the wreckage, out of the smoke, and out of the fire. And because of his courage, because he cared more about others than he cared about himself, her life and the life of her family and her children was forever altered. And yet now that he had rescued her, he was told, get out of the way, evacuate the area. And he made another choice. And he went back into that building that was on fire and coming down around him. And he saved somebody else's life. And then he went in again and again and again. Then he saved 5 people's lives that day and showed us without a doubt the definition of heroism. True heroes go places where other people wouldn't dare to tread. They go into burning buildings, but young people that are listening here, they also go to lunch tables where no one else will go. And the people in locker rooms that are just sad, because heroes care more about others than they care about themselves. And while for me, the example of heroism was forever stamped on my heart, I have to tell you that his story ends like this. A week later, he was on TV, and they asked him a simple question. They said, how does it feel to be a hero? And his response was this. He said, I'm not a hero. I'm just a boy who was taught how to be a man. And for all the heroes that are here among us, men and women, I want to say thank you. Because boys like me become men like me because of people like you. Won't you please give them a round of applause? and let the actions of this one fireman echo and resound throughout the land, and as we all embrace what he did, and let forever our definition of what it takes to be a hero be to use our lives and our gifts and our abilities to help others and to serve others for all time. So may God bless America, but also let America bless God in the way we live our lives and honor our fallen heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. I'd like to recognize members of our Board of Education, Mrs. Lisa Becker, Denise Polovsky, Raphael Adorno, former board member Elaine Taylor, Jim Mahalik, Joe Cloak, our newest board member Frank Caputo, and also members of our Township Committee, Mayor Jeff Belchiando, Al Billy, Al Cerulli, Marty Lizella, Len Morano. We also have members this evening here from our Barnegat Fire Department, Police Department, and our first responders. Finally, to end our ceremony, I'm pleased to welcome the Barnegat High School Select Choir under the direction of Natalie Altanji. Let the memorial we have placed here in Barnegat always be honored and respected. Students,
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans wide with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Barnegat High School Select Choir, that was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming this evening. Thank you. Come often to visit our memorial. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's